But
Bitcoin chart analysis, and my top altcoin picks.
ETH BTC ratio is nearing a critical level. This level triggered a 450% rise in Ethereum back in 2019. So if we wanted to look at the ETH BTC pair, I know we don't talk a lot about that. And for the most part, many of you are kind of more at the beginner level and not trading these other pairs. But let me know your thoughts. If we, there certainly are opportunities with one coin going up versus another coin. And that may be where we have to dabble and play around with in this next bull run. But this is what this article is talking about on this weekly time frame. So back in 2019, at these levels, ETH BTC really rocketed out of these levels, and so not seeing anything bullish yet on our indicators, but something to keep an eye on. And it says ETH BTC pair is approaching 0.016 BTC, a level that historically led to significant gains. So this is where we want to kind of look at and look for the Wayne Gretzky opportunities. Where should these things go from here? Although, it's only that 2019, 2020 area. So this article makes it sound like it's historically often been a strong area. But I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe what we should do is set an alert above 0.20, 0.020 on the Bitcoin ETH, so ETH Bitcoin pair rather, and see that as a buying opportunity potentially. Okay, says current chart patterns are almost identical to those in September of 2019, suggesting a potential repeat. I don't know, that's a pretty weak TA. It's not identical, it's just coming down to a similar level. So it's interesting to note, and I'm glad we kind of unpacked that together. Now, Solana, there is some news on Solana as well. They just pulled off a major save. They patched it quickly with no funds lost, but their quick move shows their commitment to security. And what this means for crypto investors, Solana's swift response kind of boosts trust in the network. And we'll get into the details of that. But the critical patches critical ZK EL-Gamal vulnerability. Major flaw in Solana's ZK EL-Gamal proof program was rapidly patched after discovery, preventing potential exploits. No funds were compromised, and the network remains secure. Now, it's nothing to scoff at, because a lot of these, think about FTX, and of course, back in the last cycle, Terra Luna, and all these other ones that just really nearly imploded based on the hacks. So, another win for Solana. They did have an early hiccup back in 2021, but it's good to get those out of the way and get the biggest flaws handled. So anyway, just checking out on the news, saying the Fed risks of higher unemployment, higher inflation has risen. But if we go over to Trueflation here, that thing's still dropping off, and so usually the real inflation rate sort of follows in a month or two and a little bit later. So let's keep an eye on that. Really, I don't get too much into the weeds with this, you guys. I know some of you are more into the economics, but I'm really watching for the market's reaction, and sometimes the market reacts irrationally. And so, even though we're down at 1.6 Trueflation and seems to be inching up here, but not seeing anything really impactful that would cause a change of policy. So let me jump back over the comments, see if anybody has any comments in there to share. And I don't see anything. Okay, so, well, all right, guys. This I thought today might go a little bit differently. Just reading some of the comments about Powell, not a big fan, not many fans in the chat here. I'm watching this on Bloomberg. Well, I was hoping for a positive reaction to comments that were not as bad as people thought. We're not seeing that, but let's jump back to the daily, kind of see if we have any opportunities. I don't know that he's finished speaking yet, and you guys may be watching it. I can't play it here, listen, and be speaking to you. So keep me posted. A lot of people in this chat saying sell. I don't know what that means. But look, we're not going to panic on this. Markets tend to overreact. Let's just take a deep breath, look at the charts here. And clearly there's some sell pressure. I think probably Bitcoin needs to kind of inch its way down a little bit more, maybe retest this $93,000 level, or even come back down to firmly retest this level, because there's no real reason for that, but other than to retest the middle of that vector candle, that fair value gap, whatever you want to call it, but also this money flow area. I like it when it comes back and retests these and holds, and generally almost always that does hold. So If we at 96K now, if we were to come back down to 90K, that's maybe 5 or 6%. So, that wouldn't be the end of the world. And then that would let the TSI come down, refresh, and then push higher. So I did sell half my Bitcoin back in this range and up in here. And I'm not really looking to buy back yet because if, I would rather buy back into strength if we start breaking above 99K, 100K, but I would be careful there. We saw what a battle it was at 100K, and we can see that the sellers are still lined up there. So what we might want to do is hop on over to the total market cap and see what's going on there. Let me just get current on this on the Bitcoin weekly. So Bitcoin weekly is still in an upward trend, but seems it's running out of steam a little bit. Out of our watch list, I like Stacks the best. INJ starting to look kind of interesting, but I haven't done well with INJ lately. And I have kind of a 3 strikes and you're out policy. If I trade it 3 times and it goes against me and I lose money or have to stop out, then it's you're dead to me for a while. And so I'm sticking with the ones that I still think will outperform: Solana, Helium, Stacks. Helium had a pretty good run up, hit some resistance on his 21-week EMA. So not surprising, that's looking like it's ready to roll over a bit. What we'll be looking for on these are higher lows. I'm still fine with Helium because we know this $3, $2.50, $3 range has been very strong support in the past, and right up in here around $3. So and recently we came down. Interesting that these money flow boxes, by the way, because we didn't have these last cycle, but all the way, look at that money flow box is exactly where price held here, right there, all these areas. That tells me that big money, smart money bought there and they're protecting that level. So when price came back down there, they want to kind of keep things at that level and they're buying more. So that's kind of how things work at some level on these areas. Everyone in the chat saying sell now, but we're not going to listen to people in the chat. We make our own chat. Let's see. Some news. Iran warning President Trump if he renames the Gulf of America or something. They're getting a little upset about that. I think he's probably just trying to get under their skin, but we'll stay away from politics. One renaming, one Gulf at a time, the Gulf of America. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. Gulf of Mexico has a nice ring to it. Well, anyway, from here, I don't know that we want to go through these one by one. These are my watch lists. These are the ones I'm looking for opportunities to buy in and buy more of. But if we see an overall market downturn, on this weekly time frame, even though we have the TSIs going green, they're starting to turn a bit. It could go either way. When in doubt, get out. And so we rejected at the 21 and 50 week EMA. And so we really just need to get back above that. Obviously, you're probably saying, no shit, Sherlock. But this is kind of how it goes. Let's go back to this. How does it usually happen? When in doubt, zoom out. Always helps to look at the personality of the coin. So the last time the TSI did finally get going, it did kind of roll over first, right? So let me just turn off these other things. We don't need these quite yet. The signal line turned green later. The advantage of this time, though, is that we did have a bullish RSI at the same time as the ERI. So it's a little bit tricky. So the ERI, the bearish ERI signaling here, that was a bearish signal, but we are getting one at this point on Ondo. However, we're only midweek. So this is something you're going to want to watch for Sunday night. If this ERI is still bearish, we may want to lower some position size on Ondo, although probably we're buying at a good price in this range over here. But again, on this, when the TSI rolled up last time, it kind of went sideways, kind of dipped down a little bit, a couple weeks in, and then it just took off. So we want to be kind of aware of this. I really think Ondo is going to be a leader in the DeFi space, and so I think I'm going to hold on to it. And if we do roll over, dollar cost, buy some more or just sit tight. That's my read on that. So stocks, Ondo, Helium, Sol, those are my top ones I'm kind of watching and holding.
Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.